Welcome to another video showing RITA, Resolve's Agentic AI platform. And in this video, we're going to be looking at how RITA can help IT technicians and operators troubleshoot and solve the most complex of alerts, incidents, and outages. So in my example today, I've got a simple little web application hosted here in AWS, and as we say, we like to bring this application up and down again just for fun. And in this example, we're going to go to RITA to ask about an outage of this app. The reason for the outage, the culprit, will actually be something pretty fun and something that happens in the real world. We've got this from a real customer use case. Here I am in AWS modifying inbound firewall rules within a security group. Now, in many cases, you've seen in the news perhaps, somebody makes a simple configuration change, usually on a Friday afternoon, and all sorts of stuff breaks. And that's precisely what we're going to do today, folks. So here I am, and I'm going to look at editing our inbound rules. So for demo purposes, I've made this simple HTTP. We are actually going to delete this rule and click Save. And now if I return to my sample web application and do a little F5 refresh action, well, eventually my browser will report to me that it can't access the page, but we can see the never-ending little spinning graphic up there indicating, hey, I can't reach this page anymore. The endpoint is not accessible. So let's head on over to RITA for help. Now, ITRS is the code name I've given this little web app here in my lab. So I'm going to ask, what's going on with the ITRS app? Now, you heard me say this came from a real customer use case example. During troubleshooting scenarios, they look at the entire layer, everything associated with the application, and ultimately they look for misconfigurations, i.e. things like missing firewall rules. So let's take a look and see what RITA does for us. She actually found an open ticket that was auto-generated by Datadog, and it even gives us a link to that exact ticket here. So Datadog is the monitoring tool or observability tool used in today's example, and we can see the incident here. Nothing really going on in the timeline tab yet. Let's head on back to RITA, and we get information here like the linked configuration item and a short description of the alert and the ticket. She's asking if this looks right. Let me know and I'll get to work investigating it. So right here already, RITA is applying all different types of intelligence to take a look in the environment and discover if there are any open incidents or alerts, outages of any kind that have been documented by a tool, like a ticketing tool or a monitoring or observability tool, and then correlating that to say, hey, Mr. Derek, I believe this is what you're after. And in this case today, she's right. So I'll say, yes, that's the one. And now we will proceed with the troubleshooting. So a number of things are going to happen here that RITA is going to walk us through. First, she's reaching out to our CMDB and finding all of the associated configuration items, servers, devices, etc. for this application, and she came back with 3. 2 application servers and a database server. Pretty standard fare for a web app, right? And she's asking if we'd like to check for recent change tickets involving any of the above. So yes, please do. And if recent change tickets for any of the above are found, she'll report them here. But you all know the real reason for the outage, right? You got to see behind the curtain of me burning the world down with deleting important firewall rules. So RITA tells us, hey, I wasn't able to find any change tickets associated with any of those CIs. She also did a quick check just to confirm that all of them are online and reachable, right? Things like ping checks, etc. She's now asking if we'd like to initiate a standard diagnostic procedure. I'll tell her to proceed. So this is where technicians and operators can save tons and tons of time from swivel chairing into this system, logging into that system, issuing this command, assessing the output there, parsing through some logs. RITA's going to walk us through all of that. So first, based on the type of server, we see that Nginx is the actual web server service running on these 2 app servers, and RITA has gone ahead and attempted to restart them to see if, hey, that will that restore operation? In this case, as you all know, it would not. The HTTP GET against that endpoint is still failing. And she's saying, let me know when I should continue. So I'll let her know, yes, go on and continue. And now we're going to get to the next phase of our diagnostics. So now Rita is taking a look at disk space utilization. She says to us here that nothing is exceeding the safe threshold of 90%. She gives us the disks on both of the application servers here. We can see 46% used on the root file system on the first app server, 40 used on the second. Everything is in bounds here, right? Nothing worth digging into. Everything looks good, so she's wanting to know if she should continue. So yes, Rita, please carry on. And now we're going to get to the next step in our automated triage. And now Rita is looking at things like CPU and RAM utilization. So the table on top here shows us our top 5 processes ordered by CPU utilization. Pretty normal stuff. A little Java app running, the Nginx service, systemd, a Python script is running, the SSH daemon's running, normal stuff. And CPU utilization looks normal, right? RAM utilization, again, looking normal. And this is for the first app server. She wants to know when I'm ready for the second. Go on ahead. And I'm no mind reader, but I do know why this application is failing. So I know that this is all going to look good. Again, pretty similar. Things are in a bit different order here. But top 5 processes, all the same ones are present. RAM and CPU looks good. And she's asking me, is there anything I want to investigate further, or should she just proceed? Just proceed. And now Rita is going to take us to our next phase of the automated diagnostics. So let's see what she's got for us. All right, now we're looking at the database layer, right? Again, all of the different layers that comprise this application, all the things a technician might want to check on when an incident or alert such as this crops up, it's all being done for us through a convenient, let's call it a chat wizard, thanks to Rita. So looking at our database, it's a Postgres. Everything looks good there. I recognize that FQDN. Top 5 running queries, looking all right. Database tables, row counts look normal. Size looks normal. She's also reporting that there were no blocking sessions found, which could be indicative of a problem. So we're good there. She's asking again if there's any area we'd like to explore further, or should we keep going? So at these stages, if something looks out of the ordinary, right, we could design this in such a way that we could dig deeper and dive further into one of these, checks at a particular layer. I'll just tell her to keep going. Looks like we may have reached the end of what Rita can do for us here, but not quite. We've got a little surprise in store for all of you. So Rita tells us that after assessing the application servers, right, things like disk space utilization, CPU and RAM utilization, running processes, as well as the database server, looking for things like expensive queries, locking sessions, she was unable to find a cause for the application outage. Oh no! That's okay though, hang on. She's now offering if we'd like to look at historic ticket data, things like work notes, close notes, other related details to see if something could help glean some insight into what a solution might be for this. Wow, you can do that, Rita? Yes, please. And it's at this point that Rita is going to reach out, looking at our ITSM for any old tickets that might have been solved or closed for this type of issue. And what do you know? She's found one. It gives us a direct link to the ticket here. And now what the Rita application, or rather Rita agent has done is summarized everything it found in that ticket, right? Any work notes or close notes that were put in there, summarized it into this simple 2-sentence solution. The issue was caused by a missing firewall rule allowing inbound HTTP traffic. Restoring the rule fixes everything, right? And we could go preview that ticket if we'd like, but in the interest of time, let's just ask Rita to go ahead and fix it for us. She'd like to know if we should assess the current rule config first. So now using turnkey integrations to things like AWS in this case, which by the way, the same is there for VMware, GCP, Azure, we're able to assess the current firewall rules there, and we see them printed out to us here in our chat client. And she has identified that, yes, in fact, the pertinent rule is totally missing, that inbound HTTP rule. And she's asking now if we'd like her to restore it for us, which is amazing. Yeah, go ahead, Rita. Let's see what you got. And I should expect here in just a few short moments. Wow, she says it's done. Let's go see if she's bluffing. She's now saying, here's what the firewall rules look like. That follow-up HTTP GET is returning normally, but she wants me to go check in my browser. Before I even do that, though, I'm going back to AWS. And you see here now we've only got database rule entry and SSH. So let me do a quick refresh. And if everything went to plan, that HTTP rule that you saw me delete should be restored. Here we go. And there it is. It is back. HTTP inbound for the public internet. Love it. And if I go back to my tab where I was trying to access the application before, you remember we just saw that little spinning graphic. Well, now it's completely timed out in my browser. Let's give it a little F5 action. Voila. Up and running again. Awesome. Okay, let me go report this to our friend Rita. It's up. So Rita will be letting us know next that the Datadog incident has been resolved, and the conversation log was actually even posted to the ServiceNow ticket for that awareness and that audibility later on, especially because this type of thing might be able to save someone some time in the future. So if we head back to the Datadog incident, for example, there was a note updated that a technician is using RITA to troubleshoot it. It gave us a link to that ticket as well, and it even resolved the incident for us automatically. So if I open up that ticket before we head on back to the Resolve platform, we'll see some of what I was talking about there. And of course, in today's example, we saw Datadog for observability and monitoring, but the Resolve solution is compatible and can integrate with virtually any monitoring or observability tool on Earth, just like ticketing, right? We see ServiceNow here, but we are totally vendor agnostic. It could be anything. So we see in this ticket, it was categorized, subcategorized, all that stuff. And then the entire conversation log was posted directly to our work notes there, right? That's not something that has to happen, but it is a feature that can happen. And I think it's pretty useful in many cases. So heading on back to Resolve, if you think of RITA as the brains, you can think of the action side of the house as the muscle, right? RITA's smart. It figures out context. It routes requests. It helps us jump through all sorts of hoops to arrive at a solution. But behind the scenes, with guardrails and things that can adhere to your organization's specific policies and procedures, Resolve Actions comes in, the automation arm, right? The action arm. And using turnkey integrations with platforms like AWS that we looked at today, it's as simple as what you see here. Point and click, drag and drop, no coding or scripting required, although those things are supported too if you want to extend out the capabilities of the platform. But doing things like checks for those ports or restoring those rules, it's as simple as what we see here. Pre-built integrations, couldn't be any easier. So that's it for our demonstration today of Resolve and RITA, showing how technicians, operators, IT folks of all kinds that have to deal with complex incidents, alerts, and outages can leverage RITA to not only walk through guided resolution, but also leverage things like historic ticket data to glean insights on what types of solutions might fix the problem today. And in our example today, of course, it did fix the problem. Thank you so much for watching.